It all happened so fast. The jury, made up of my past, presented the verdict. I feared they could see right through me, as if I was made of glass, but I was plastic, fake. And the silicone sin that was injected within my bloodstream by my ancestral Adam gave evidence, descended from my descendants, that the decision was unanimous and I was rightfully accused. And the accuser stood over me, finger pointed in blame. His demand: blood, a life sentence, the death penalty, lethal injection, the electric chair. Any of these would appease his thirst for my soul. After all, I was charged with 4 counts of criminal intent. The first was for negligence. I starved my soul from his spirit and deprived myself of what I knew to be right. Like the woman at the well, I wanted living water but was too prideful to admit I was thirsty. The second was for identity theft. Living under a fake ID of hypocrisy disguised as holiness. The hallelujahs I hailed in church could be heard for miles but never actually hit heavenly heights. Hearing the same convicting question every time: do you know how much it costs you to wear these costumes? So I stayed away from every mirror, including the Bible. Couldn't bear to see what the Word of God reflected back to me, so I kept it closed. The third was for reckless endangerment. I put the lives of others at risk because I couldn't practice what I preached and they were watching me. But if my life was the only Bible they ever had a chance to read, then all I ever did was mislead. The fourth was for thoroughly committing fraud, constantly claiming righteousness, yet consistently coming short of the glory of God. How could I stand here as a defendant, reciting a testimony with no one to defend it? For the wages of sin is death, and the devil had come to collect his debt. He asked me, how do I plead? And I told him, not guilty. Wrong. I had no evidence to support my innocence. I was just as guilty as Adam and Eve. No one to testify for my good works, forever pursuing deeds over faith because I thought that being good worked wrong. My iniquities spoke volumes that I could not turn down. My life was a crescendo of wrongdoing, increasing louder by the hour, further amplifying the sound of my sin. Wrong. Disobedience was my weapon of choice, killing every opportunity for holiness to get a hold of me. I was wrong. And in a swift motion, I was handcuffed. But there was no difference between the chains on my wrists and the chains of the sin in my life. Since birth, I was born into bondage. Behind bars, I had no voice to break myself free. I was no Paul. I was no Silas. I could not worship these walls down. There was no way out of this, and I deserved it. I deserved it. Justice was served, and I was the one serving it. But then the guards tell me that I'm free to go. I tell them I haven't even served a quarter of my life sentence. It's only been 3 days, and the jury of my sins is still debating whether I should go straight to death row. They tell me that a man named Jesus has paid my bail. And not only did he pay my bail, but he's also switching places with me and staying in my cell. For a man, the innocent lamb, to remain in chains is insane while I walk free. Now, why would he do that for some convicts like you or me?
Well, hello. How are y'all? Good. Y'all doing all right, man? Y'all are smiley and happy. That's